Hey guys, Mike Woodworth here with you, otherwise known as Woody, out here in Kenai, Alaska on the beautiful Kenai Peninsula. I'm going to give you a quick view around before we get into today's subject, which is going to be about survival. So if you're into that sort of stuff, stick around with me. But before I jump into this, I want to share an incredible view with you guys. This is Kenai, Alaska. I'm standing up on a bluff right now that overlooks the Kenai River, the mouth of the Kenai River, Cook Inlet. And down below me you can see some of the canneries. And off to the right there, as we pan the camera, you can see the sun setting behind the mountains. Way off in the distance. Lots of snow, lots of trees. But hey guys, that view right there that I just shared with you, not even joking, you can find that view right here in the center, right in town in Kenai, Alaska. So if you ever want to come and find a really beautiful view, this is a great place to do it at. If you love fishing, Kenai River is world famous for fishing. Anyways, I want to share with you guys today a little bit about survival. Actually, more or less just a talk. We're not going to get into gear or anything like that. But I want to share a little bit about me before I do that, so you guys know the platform I'm coming from. I was raised in the country, lived in the city, have been all over the United States and in multiple countries around the world. That being said, I had a lot of different people in my life, a lot of teachers and a lot of mentors. I've been an outdoor enthusiast since I was like 4, okay? And I was raised with those kind of people. 2 of my mom's brothers were Force Recon Marines, and I was an only child. Dad was never around, so they kind of took it on themselves to teach me. So I learned a lot of military survival stuff. By about age 13, we moved to Arizona, where I got to hang out with some, on an Indian reservation for the better part of about 3 years. During that time, I got to learn an awful lot about traditional survival and hunting and outdoor activities, things of that nature. Since then, I'm 45 years old now, and since then I've tried just about every piece of gear known to man. I'm an active kayaker, canoeer, hunter, fisherman, hiker, backpacker. I'm always in the woods, okay? It's my favorite place in the world to be. So all that being said, I want to share with you guys today, I've heard a lot from different videos and stuff like that where guys are asking questions like, what's the best survival tool to have? What's the ultimate #1 principle of survival? What is, you know, these kind of questions. Guys, I want to break this down for you real simple. If you ever need to know what the #1 core concept of survival is, it's self-preservation. It's that simple. That gets into a complex set of skills. There's some things that you have to realize. In any situation, before it becomes a survival situation, you got to think, okay? Surviving is about not ending up in a STHF scenario, okay? It's about paying close enough attention to avoid the pitfalls, the traps, the dangers, and the things that are ultimately going to kill you, hurt you, injure you, or otherwise completely screw you. Wow, the wind just kicked up a lot. Now, to avoid those kind of things takes 1, common sense, 2, some education, 3, good thinking, clear thinking, and 4, planning, okay? So here's what we're going to do. If I'm going to go out on a kayaking trip or a canoe trip or a hunting trip or even a day hike, I'm driving down the road on my way home from work and decide I'm going to stop somewhere and I'm going to go for a hike. There's some preparation that has to be taken to avoid the potential survival situation, okay? Now, I live in a place that has really big bears. Alaska is known for its brown bears, Kodiak brown bears, and they run around all over the woods out here. So a guy's got to be prepared for that. There's some simple tools you can use to prepare for that. Tool #1 is a gun, a good one. 45 caliber, 44 caliber, shotgun, heavy gauge rifle, something to that effect. something that is going to drop that target in one shot, because you're probably not going to get a second chance. If you're in tight brush and you don't see that bear laying on the ground and you surprise him, he jumps up, he might eat your face before you have a chance to respond. How do you avoid it? First of all, talk. While you're walking through the woods, talk. If animals hear your voice, they do not want to be next to you. They recognize that voice and they understand human beings are a risk. They're a danger to us. They're as afraid of you as you may potentially be of them. Okay? Number 2, pay attention. Don't be in a hurry. Don't try to always be about getting there fast. Take it slow and easy. When I'm walking around out here in the woods, I walk about 10, 15 steps and I stop. And I look around. I don't just look at the ground. I look at the ground, I look at the waist level, the head level, and because we got black bears too, I look up in trees because they climb them a lot. All right, look, you got to pay attention to your surroundings. So that's preparation number 1. Number 2, always have a plan, okay? I'm not even going to stop for a day hike unless I make a phone call to my wife or one of my sons or to a good friend or somebody that I trust and say, hey, look, I'm at mile marker such and such. I'm pulling off. I'm planning on hiking in about a mile or 2. I figure I'll probably be gone about 2, maybe 3 hours. If you don't hear from me in, say, 4 or 5 hours, something bad has happened. Would you please notify 911 and next of kin and tell them where I'm at? Okay? You put something like that in place, now you've got somebody else that's expecting to hear from you, okay? Number 3, be prepared. Carry a charger for your cell phone. Carry an extra battery for your cell phone. Do something that's going to allow you communication, okay? Next one, we talked about taking your time. We talked about making a plan. We talked about, well, we're going to talk about carry the right equipment. Like I said, I live in Alaska. Okay, and right now the temperature is about 20 degrees out here. If I twisted an ankle and I were 2 miles out in the woods, that's going to be a real hard hike back, especially if I'm not on a trail. I got about 3 inches of snow out here right now, which ain't much, but generally speaking this time of year, I got about 2 to 3 feet of snow out here, and that's a lot more risky and dangerous to pass through. So if I'm going to make that kind of hike, I need to be prepared. I should have some snowshoes. I should have some good gloves, maybe an extra set if necessary. I need to make sure I've got a good coat, good clothes, good boots, the whole 9 yards. I've got to be prepared for the environment that I'm in. And that's what I want to pass on to you guys. When it comes to survival, self-preservation is your number 1 priority. At all costs. To keep yourself preserved, you've got to be prepared. If you're not prepared and the situation goes STHF and everything gets bad around you, then it comes into your ability to respond, to adapt, and to overcome to the situation. The only way you're going to get that ability is by training, learning conventional methods and unconventional methods. Learn how to do things. And those things that you need to learn how to do, number 1 should be first aid, self-aid priority. How do you stop bleeding? How do you set a bone? How do you correct an injury in your body? Number 2, if you're somebody that needs a specific form of medication, I always carry 72 hours worth of medication with me. I'm a diabetic. I make certain I've got a minimum of 3 days worth of medication with me at all times. Have to, because if something happens out here and I can't regulate my body's blood sugar, then the likelihood of me getting dead is real close. Okay? The next thing I want to talk about in survival principles, aside from first aid and self-aid, we got self-preservation, first aid, self-aid. Next one, and this has got to be one of the top 3, is body core temperature regulation. Okay? I don't care what environment you're in. I don't care if you're in the Arctic, you're here in Alaska, you're down south in the desert or in the jungle. If you cannot regulate your body's core temperature, then you are going to have problems with either hyperthermia or hypothermia. You're either going to get too hot or too cold, and in either case, you die. Let those words sink in. Knowing that, you've got to be prepared with the right gear, and if you don't have the right gear, you have to have the skill set and the ability to be able to either improvise the gear, make the gear, or find the gear. But you've got to be able to regulate your body's core temperature. If that means you need to have a fire, you need to know at least 5 ways of making a fire. Minimum. If that means you need to have something to cover you, you need to know how to get cover. I'm going to play a little game with y'all right now just for fun. Let's assume that I'm out here and I've been a complete idiot. And I've walked out here like I did today with tennis shoes on. They're waterproof. And I got a pair of wool socks under them. And my car is about 200 feet away. But if I were an idiot and just walked out into the woods and decided it was so pretty out here I had to just hike it, and I didn't have enough cover with me, what are some things I can do to create that cover? Could I take my lightweight jacket, like the underlayer that I'm wearing here? Could I take something like this and maybe find a bunch of stuff like this? See all this dried grass? You bust a bunch of this stuff off and you start packing it inside of your coat. It looks stupid, it might feel a little itchy, but it makes great insulation if you need to stay warm, okay? Number 2, wait, what did we talk about? Okay, so we got self-preservation, we got first aid and self-aid, we got body core temperature regulation. We're talking a little bit about cover. What else can I make cover out of? These are the kind of things you need to be able to think of. Clothes are hard to find, and they're very difficult to improvise. You're better off bringing them with you. Gloves, hats, these kind of things are not the easiest thing in the world to recreate in nature. You can do it, but it's going to take you some time. Meanwhile, you may freeze. So know how to get a good fire going. Know how to build a reflective wall that's going to reflect it back at you. Next is water. Water is a key factor in any environment. Out here, you can dehydrate almost as easy as you can in the desert. I know that sounds stupid because you're looking at a lot of snow and some of you guys out there are hardcore survivalists and know what to do with this stuff. But it takes a lot of work. Okay, that water down there that you're seeing, that beautiful looking river, well, that's the mouth of the Kenai River. And because it's the mouth of the river, that's going to be salt water. I can't drink that. If I had a desalinator, I could purify it. But the only way I'm going to get water out of that is to head upriver a couple of miles, get away from the tide, and then I might get some fresh water. Okay? But water is key. Water is important. You've got to have something with you. Okay? Like I said, today my car is only about 200 yards away, but typically I carry a 44-ounce stainless steel water bottle full. Okay? For cold weather like this, I carry a couple of those hand warmers just to keep my water bottle warm, so that my water don't freeze. Anyway, guys, that's really what I wanted to talk to you about today. The number one thing in survival. What is the number one most important thing? That's simple. Self-preservation. Avoid the STHF situation. Keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Don't enter an environment that you know nothing about. Learn about the places you plan on going to visit. Learn about the environments. Learn about the skill sets to be able to start a fire, to get water, to get food. Learn about trees and berries and plants. Those kind of things will save your backside more than you could even imagine. Okay? Anyway, guys, this has been Woody. I'd like to sign off for now. Just tell you guys thanks a lot for watching the videos. If you like what you saw today, please hit the like button down below. If you feel like it, you'd be doing me a great honor if you'd share this video with your friends. Maybe we could pass some knowledge on to other people and make them think a little bit. Because God's honest truth, my friends, your thought, the way you think and perceive your environment, is going to be the thing that keeps you alive. Pre-planning is going to be the thing that keeps you alive. Taking it slow and easy and using your common sense, using your intelligence, using your ability to adapt and improvise and overcome, that's going to keep you alive. But when you're training to do those kind of things, come prepared for the worst situation. If you don't use the stuff that you brought as your preparation because you're practicing your skills, that's great. But you don't end up dead because you forgot something. Understand? So hey guys, been Woody with you here. I'll see you next time. I'll see you in the woods.